Tony Tormenta died with more bullets in his body than most soldiers see in war. He ruled the streets of Tamaulipas as if they were his personal battlefield. Gulf Cartel armed his men with military-grade weapons, turning cities into war zones. Yet his arrogance blinded him to the scale of the forces closing in. In 2010, Marines surrounded him, their helicopters roaring above. Midhook was not just the ambush, but the discovery of his arsenal. Rocket launchers, grenades, thousands of rounds. Looked more like a rebel army cache than a trafficker's home. The aftermath was devastation. Bystanders caught in crossfire, buildings shredded by gunfire. The mystery lingered. How could one man stockpile enough firepower to challenge a nation? Climax was his death. Shot hundreds of times, his body almost unrecognizable, and yet the endhook hangs heavy. If Tony Tormenta fell this way, how many more generals of crime are still out there waiting for war? Mexicano earned his name not for patriotism, but for the empire of blood he built. Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha became one of the most feared allies of Pablo Escobar. He imported weapons on a scale equal to militias preparing for civil war. His private armies swept villages, burning entire communities in pursuit of power. Midhook was his obsession with military power. Mortars, assault rifles, even anti-aircraft guns. He turned Colombia's countryside into trenches and camps, training men like soldiers. Power that rises so fast often collapses just as violently. Colombian army hunted him with helicopters, intelligence networks, and artillery. In 1989, they cornered him in Tolima, and a battle erupted so fierce it scarred the land. Climax was his final stand, refusing surrender, fighting until his body was riddled with bullets. The endhook echoed in silence. Can any empire of blood ever stand against the weight of a nation's guns? Pacho Herrera entered the scene as the man who gave the Cali cartel a military edge. He understood logistics like a general, moving cocaine as if it were an army supply chain. Beyond money, he invested in soldiers, weapons, and brutal discipline. Midhook came with his secret alliances, bribed police, corrupted military officers, entire networks under his pay, turned Cali into a fortress, defended by men who would kill without hesitation. Yet inside prison, his control slipped. An ambush struck him in 1998 while he played a casual soccer game behind bars. Consequence was chaos inside Colombia. One of the strongest cartels fractured overnight. Climax was brutal, a machete and gunfire tearing him apart while guards watched helplessly. The endhook lingers like a warning. If even a man guarded by walls and rifles could be executed, who can ever claim true protection in the war of cartels? Ramon Arellano Felix was more than a trafficker. He was a tactician of violence. In Tijuana, his men carried weapons that belonged on military fronts, not city streets. Assassinations, ambushes, and massacres carved his name into history. Midhook was his strike against rivals. Bold attacks carried out in daylight, with machine guns ripping through civilian areas. It was a display of war, not crime. The consequence was predictable. The Mexican government deployed federal forces, launching a relentless hunt. In 2002, his convoy was trapped by Marines. Climax unfolded in a sudden burst of violence. Ramon gunned down in Mazatlan. His empire of fear fractured within hours, brothers scrambling to survive. The endhook burns in memory. If an army of gunmen can crumble in a single ambush, is power ever anything more than borrowed time? Zelda Blanco turned Miami into a battleground during the cocaine wars. She earned the name Black Widow for the trail of blood left behind. Her soldiers sprayed streets with machine guns, even inventing the motorcycle drive-by assassination. Midhook was her use of sheer terror, not just against enemies, but against her own allies. She eliminated rivals with surgical cruelty, leaving bodies as warnings. The empires of violence draw enemies from every corner. Law enforcement, rival cartels, and betrayed associates all closed in. Consequence was her fall, prison chains replacing power. Years later, released and older, she thought she had escaped her past. Climax came in 2012, when two assassins on motorcycles gunned her down in Medellin, killed by the very method she pioneered. The endhook cuts deep. If even the Queen of Terror can be struck by her own invention, who among the lords of crime can ever escape the shadows they create?